All right, Mike, thanks for joining. Let's get to it. My name is William Mitchner, the host of the Bad Broke Dad production podcast. I'm joined with the famous Zach Lamar and David Alonzo, two of my brothers, partners in crimes, life goers, and just most importantly, men of faith and people that I rely on in my walk in people who I love near and dear and hold me accountable. So, with further ado, we're going to keep this really short. I know Zach's been flying all night. So, yeah, how it's going to work is we'll just do a quick 5-minute background bio of our backstories. And then we'll get down to the nitty gritty of how we met and how this podcast is kind of coming into fruition, being that this is episode 1, the foundation. I've prayed about it. This is something that's been moving in my heart for about a year, and I'm excited to launch this thing. Just for the viewers' discretion, we did try launching Thursday. I am a very humble individual from North Carolina with some California, Arkansas roots, and it took me quite a while to figure out how to plug a USB cable into a computer. So with further ado, I will let Zach Lamar, my brother, do an introduction to who he is and kind of explain his foundational roots and some of his beliefs and his overall ministry that he's a part of. Go ahead, Zach.
Well, thanks. Don't even know where to start other than just to say that God has blessed me. I grew up with two parents that love each other, love Jesus, and loved us. And they taught us to do the same. Grew up in mostly San Diego. My dad was a Marine, so we moved around a bit, but call San Diego home. Still have family out there, even though they're not blood related. And spent the majority of my formative years there, just basically living in the church with all the friends and family that we were blessed with out there for so many years. And that certainly shaped the majority of who I am. Got some great friends and mentors out there that I still talk to occasionally, and just poured into me for years. So it was a huge blessing. God also blessed me with being the oldest of 4 kids. So I kind of had this leadership role the whole time. And maybe it was a part of me being the oldest. I just wanted to set the example for my siblings, and God grabbed a hold of my heart at a young age. So I pursued him my whole life. I don't have one of those crazy testimonies that people oftentimes think, oh, I don't have a good testimony. No, I do. It's a God's grace and God's goodness testimony, because I didn't go through a lot of the stuff that you guys have or other people that I've gotten to know over the years. It's taken me some time to realize that I have a good testimony too. It's just different. So I've just pursued him my whole life, and I've grown up in the church, grown up around the church. And it's been a great ride. And Marine Corps brought me to North Carolina back in 2013, and got to meet you guys on a deployment and at church, serving at the church here. So it's been an interesting road, and definitely not one that I thought, especially as it came to the personal challenges and family and things like that all 3 of us have gone through. And I think that kind of melded us together through that process. But God set me up to be able to not only go through a very similar situation that you guys did, but in the process, let me go through it first, and then put me in a position to love on you guys whenever you're going through it too. So I know you're going to talk about it a little bit, but that was a huge blessing for me. So that's me.
Yeah, no, we greatly appreciate it. And one thing that you said, I want to land on real quick, because I think that it warrants probably a podcast in itself, is the power of your testimony, right? And you made a comment of, God's grace and his sovereignty over your life, and how, you possibly have not led or lived, I should say, a challenging, friction-filled lifestyle. But regardless of that, your testimony and its power is just as important as someone who has had a life of friction and chaos. And, so I think that's huge that you mentioned that. And it doesn't go unnoticed. I know that you've been an extreme blessing in my life. I know your dad, I know your mom, both extraordinary individuals. And to be honest, God's grace and all of that it's very, I love you, and we've had that conversation, and I'm great to have you in my corner, and I'm great to have you as a person who, if need be, could pick up a corner of my mat and help me when my faith is tested, and I might be making a wrong decision, or I may need to get smacked in the back of the head when I'm talking to my daughter a certain way. Right?
That's what this is all about.
Yeah. So, great. And we will move to my main man, David, my brother from another mother. Man, I feel like we do life every single day with each other. Zach was a part of that until he jumped ship, per se. But you're in it thick as like you and me, dude. It's the William and Dave show of southeastern North Carolina, and
then we bombard Zach with texts.
Yeah, he gets a lot of text
It's
messages.
welcome.
Yeah. So without further ado, David.
All right. Well, I will be remiss if I didn't say that the views here are my own or our own, and do not express the DOW's views or sponsorship or anything like that. So just want to get that liability out of the way. Liability waiver. My name's David, 40 years old, look like I'm about 12. And so that's a blessing. I feel like the character of David in the Bible, little dude, but a king. And
That's right.
you're handsome and XYZ. You guys all like to poke some fun at me, but a child of a couple immigrants from Cuba and Colombia. No, I didn't come on a banana boat. No, I'm not a communist. No, I can't get you any blow. And no, I'm not an island boy. But if y'all want some coffee or some cigars, I might be able to hook you up. Let's see. I've served about 22 years, coast to coast. I've been here on this coast here for going on, about 10 years now. 4 beautiful kids from teens to down to a couple young kids. But just been doing life together with you all. I've got a very unique experience in having such a close friendship that I can talk about to other people with. And I still keep very close with some friends from back in my hometown that a lot of people are amazed. And I just feel blessed to be able to have, a group of friends on both sides, but even more so some of the accountability, some of the time spent together, the fellowship, and learning and growing from one another, and just helping each other develop. So that's pretty much in a nutshell.
No, that's awesome. I'm not going to expand too much because you're going to be on there's a shorter duration for a following episode. So we're going to unpack a lot of information on that episode. So all good things to come in the near future. So I'm sure everybody's wondering who I am. My name is William. Sacramento, California, Santa Rosa, California native. I call Northern California somewhat home. Grew up in a broken home. Lived with my mom for a while. Lived with my dad for a while. Moved to Arkansas. Spent a couple of years in Arkansas, and then decided to join the United States Marine Corps at the fine age of 18, and then found myself stationed in Eastern North Carolina at Camp Lejeune. Spent some time there, exited service 2022 after 18 years of service. After I agreeably made a choice and some decisions that ended my career unexpectedly, but I have since taken full responsibility of that, and I don't hide about it. I don't hide it, and I'm open to talk about it with anybody interested to talk about it. I have 2 extraordinary children, Levi, Evelyn. child of God, trying to lead them at keeping him at the forefront of my home and doing life with these fine gentlemen. Being that this is the foundation, I kind of wanted to land the plane on how we met. And I'm going to let Zach and Dave kind of lead that conversation because they knew each other before I entered it. And then after they feel like they have exhausted their story, then I will tell my side of the story and how I landed essentially on Zach's couch. And how he has been a blessing in my life. And then we will cover how this thought has essentially come to fruition and then these struggles that are associated. So with that, I know that you guys, full disclaimer, we're all, and I know once a Marine, always a Marine. So we all have that in common. And I know that you guys met on a deployment. I know loose lips sink ships. You don't have to disclose anything crazy, anything that you feel would be detrimental to the security of our nation. So I know how important your guys' roles are. So with that, I will leave it to you guys to tell that story.
I think I'm a fan of live bands, and he was doing some live band service on the deployment. No, I'm kidding. He's an avid guitar player, and I mean, we met on deployment. I don't remember how we connected, and then I guess similar to just the nature of who you are, you usher people in, ushered me in. Hey, kind of introduced me to some of your buddies, and then Bible study. So we had a great time while we were out there. We played a lot of Catan, ate a lot of ice cream.
Yeah, we did.
And, got to do some sightseeing, depending on, what was kind of happening. Sometimes kind of disaggregated, but it was.
It was good. I think probably one of the first, I don't remember the exact circumstances of us meeting either, but on that deployment, I think it came out that I did ROTC in San Diego and you went to school in San Diego, and it was like a connection there. And then we just started like, hey, we've kind of been bouncing around each other for a long time and never met until this deployment. So that was probably the start of it, I think. But I think that was the deployment that we did a men's Bible study.
Yeah.
And just, it was probably, I don't know, half a dozen of us or so that just met on a regular basis and just got to know each other as we pursued being more like Christ. So that was awesome. That was a great beginning for us, and then that friendship just continued.
Yeah. I think that's when we first established our plans to go to Spain.
Hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't happened yet, but
Someday.
word yet.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not if, it's when. It's still
that's
happening.
Right. Yeah.
And now that we know this guy, we're going to bring him with too.
Yeah, Spain is on the horizon. We don't know how we're going to get there, but it's all right. Zach's a Delta pilot, so
he's got a boat.
Yeah, and I got a boat. Yeah. We'll see how that
Space
goes.
A travel.
That's right. Space A on an 18-foot skiff boat.
We got to pick the right time of year.
Yeah, we got to pick the right day to see if we can get it out of the inlet. Once we get it out, we'll be all right. Yeah. No, that's awesome. So my take, coming in as the third wheel to this friendship, Zach and I am still on a setup team at our local church who meets at a high school. It's a mobile church and has been mobile for the entirety of its existence. Actually, we just hit our 11th year anniversary. So that's where Zach and I met. I think we kind of grew close in conversation of turkey hunting, deer hunting, fishing. We both are outdoorsmen and have that hunter-gatherer DNA still in us.
Yep.
So we would spend many Sunday mornings setting up chairs and talking about our hunting adventure and the lack of being a fruitful hunter in southeastern North Carolina. And that was pretty much it until one morning I had expressed, I guess I could say, the start of a rough season of my life. And you were graciously just opening your arms and allowing me to stay at your home, when in reality I was like, hey man, I'm just going to go get my tent and stay at the game lands. I'll rough it out.
Yeah, that was the first thing you said to me. I was like, no,
Yeah.
you're not.
Yeah. I can still get dirty and get down with the best of them, man. I live like a Lance Corporal. So if I got to go sleep in a tent in a public game lands, and that's what I was going to do. And you're like, nah, man,
No, you're not.
come to my house. And I stayed there for 3 months while I was figuring out what the path God had for me was, and that ultimately led to a career change, and just an astronomical amount of provision from the Lord. And it kind of started with you opening your home, which is really unheard of, right? You don't really open your home to someone you really don't know. Yeah, we had the church in common, but you didn't know who I was, really. You didn't know my full backstory. And for you to open your home was just an extreme blessing that I don't let disappear in my mind, and I still hold it near and dear to my heart. And through that relationship, Dave came into the picture as a fellow tenant of the Lamar resident, going through a similar struggle that is his story to tell. I won't spoil that, but now on his feet, and we can both, I think, arguably agree that because of your willingness to accept us in your life and your home, we've both have been able to harvest the fruit of that, and hopefully have bared our own fruit for others to harvest. So it doesn't go unnoticed, my brother, and I love you dearly for that. So that's how the three of us kind of come together. And since then have all joined the same community group. Shout out to Wayne and Denise Batson for hosting us in their home every Sunday. And we do life and community together. I know you've since moved and now live in Michigan as a Delta pilot. But you're still here. It
just takes longer to get here.
That's right. But we do try and keep you entertained with the shenanigans via text messages and the videos on social media that we send to each other.
Reels.
That's right.
So yeah. And then Dave blessing my life with a nonprofit organization that he was a part of in 2025. 24.
24.
Yeah, 24.
It's supposed to go 2023, but things happened for a reason. Didn't go to 2024.
Yeah. He's a bead wearer, as I am. If you see us out in public, we'll have usually a bracelet on our wrist. And it's a very significant thing that he and I were able to attend a 5-day retreat down in the BVI on Buck Island. Thank you for that. That has changed the trajectory of my life and opened up the capacity to think bigger than what I was thinking. And I don't want to take over the show. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, and I was going to say, matter of fact, I was talking about that earlier today, how it has just changed the dynamic of my life. So to those individuals, you're thanking me. My cousin's the one that brought me in, and then the folks that brought him in, and just the folks that organized that whole experience. But it's just changed the trajectory of my life. Has changed the way that I look at things and perceive things. One of the things we talked about earlier today was just about being an involved father. I was talking with another friend, and I feel like I always have been, but it's different, where like there's more of a sense of wanting to be present. There's more of a sense of wanting to pour into the kids and the next generation. Coupled with a bunch of other things, also a lot of professional development and growth, and just battling a lot of our own demons, right? And trying to be a better individual, and really leaving a dynasty, right, for our families, whatever that looks like. Does that mean hey, in a very fortuitous and fortune dynasty, or is that, hey, with that love and that kind of protector mindset or whatever, I think what I developed through there was my mission statement is to love, cherish, and protect my family, and the one word that it boils down to is love. So what does that mean, and how does that look like at the end of my life, when my time comes to an end? What are people going to say about me, and how did I show up for my kids, for my family, even my future wife, right? And
Yeah.
so just going from there. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's just, going back to the bead bracelet that we wear on our wrist, just being a force for good, right? And not being stagnant, and always putting yourself in a position to grow and advance in a positive way, right? Like, you can be stagnant, right? But what grows in that environment, right? Like, if you look at it like a pond, right? When a little heat gets applied to a pond that has no moving water, it grows and looks disgusting, right? It has fungus and algae and nothing good to come out of it, right? And you get scared and you don't even want to jump in it and swim in it. But if the water is continually flowing and you're advancing and being a force for good and putting yourself in positions to read books and, be in scripture and doing the things that we're called to do, you're just going to be a better human being.
Yeah.
And I know you and I've had conversations at length about that and trying to live up to what that looks like.
Well, and if I can jump in there too, I think what's pretty unique about the friendship that we have is guys don't normally talk,
No.
right? And we're kind of like, right? And there's the stereotypes, but the three of us have had either deep conversations together or deep conversations, individually, and the ability to get to a point where we're vulnerable, right? And just saying like, no, I'm not okay. Like, no, I'm dealing and struggling with X, Y, Z. And hey, look, I can come to these trusted individuals, trusted agents, and say, look, I'm really having a hard time with whatever it is, and being able to shed some tears with one another, right? So it's not just successes, and it's not, always happy-go-lucky, but also, hey, those hard times, and then the hard conversations of being challenged and like, hey, bro, like maybe you shouldn't be doing this right now.
Yeah.
All right, good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that this was original to me. I'm definitely gonna admit that I'm stealing this, but we talk a lot about iron sharpening iron.
Yeah.
Well, how does iron sharpen another piece of iron? Sparks fly.
Yeah.
It's not comfortable,
Yeah.
but we still sharpen one another and cry with one another and just live life together. And sometimes that's uncomfortable, but it doesn't mean that we're not getting better. So yeah, I love that. I mean, it's just a great description of us.
Yeah. What study were you guys doing on that deployment? If you don't mind me asking.
If I remember correctly, we did Disciplines of a Godly Man.
Yeah.
Was it John MacArthur?
I don't remember.
I don't remember the author's name, but
Disciplines of a Godly Man. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was good. Some of them were kind of like, yeah, you know what? Like, I think maybe just being in the service, some of the things we already learned, it's like, okay, natural. But other things were like, I remember, obviously we've learned this in the Marine Corps, like, hey, put your freaking feet together 45 degrees. And like, it's kind of stupid stuff, but
Stuff I still ask you guys about.
Yeah. Like, whatever. But then having this gentleman talk about like, hey, no, like, hey, a man, not only you're doing the honorable thing, protecting, all these other things, these calls to action, but like just even the way you posture yourself, like, wow, okay. And so those are some of the significant things that I've talked about. Like, this isn't what struck me was this is not something that a conversation you have with like other men your age, right? And what at that time we're 30s or whatnot, but yeah, I've never had somebody say something. So then now we're all talking about it, we're congregating together and discussing those topics. And so it was interesting.
Yeah. Full disclosure for the audience and viewers to come. I can call Dave on a Sunday night and offload the world in tears, and he will be receptive and receive that conversation with open arms and provide feedback, which, to your point, what you said is like, guys don't do that. Like, it's very far few and in between of having a friendship of where, yeah, I'm okay, I got it, no, I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
hey, how you doing today? I'm all right.
We're fine.
Let's peel some onions back, man. Let's really get to the core root of how you're feeling, right? And that's something that it's just natural now, right? Like,
It's like ripping off a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it at first.
yeah,
And I think there's a stigma for men, especially like you were talking about, or both of you mentioned. It makes you look or feel weak
Yeah.
if you're going to be vulnerable with somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't show that. No, I'm good. I'm good. I got
Yeah.
this. It's not weakness. It actually takes more strength to open up and be vulnerable with another brother that you trust. Don't be foolish. But it takes more strength to do that than it just does to try to put on a happy face and bear the burdens of the world alone,
yeah,
because you can't do that.
yeah.
When I think the reality is too, sometimes we still do that. And it's like, hey, come on, bro. Like, let's like spill the tea, bro.
I can
What's
see
up?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some smacking in the back of the head of like, man, you should not be doing that. Like, what are you thinking? Like, yeah, man, you're right.
Metaphorical slapping though, right? Not
Yeah,
like,
right,
Not like
right.
boot camp. Like,
Yeah, no, I've never done such a thing in my time. No, that's awesome, and I think that's one thing that we really, truly, and to be honest, that's one of the reasons of why I wanted to start this. And where it goes, I don't know. I don't know if in a year I'll have 5 viewers that are dedicated to watching it in its entirety, or 100,000. I can tell you personally that we're not doing this for accolade or any type of claim to fame. We're doing it as an example of what it looks like to be broken men in the image of God and striving for His continued grace, His continued love, all as at the same time of raising kids that more often than not are taking the worldly approach to living their life, right? That's as truth as I can be and as brutal as I can be, and why we are on this mission and why I am on this mission. With that, I will land with how it kind of all began. About 2 years ago, we started dinners regularly at someone's house. Let me back up. So you went to Buck Island.
Yep.
Shout out to Jeremy, Brittany. You know who you are. We love you. Extraordinary people. Changed our lives and impacted in positive ways for, I mean, you can't even put a time frame on it. It's what they're doing is great. I went shortly after you did in platoon 9. Came back, read a couple of Napoleon Hill books, and just truly like tried to open my mind and stopping my what would I say is like self-limiting thought of I'm not good enough. Who am I? Hiding behind my past, hiding behind the sin that I've done throughout my life, because I haven't lived a perfect life. I'll tell you that right now. There's nothing but imperfect things in my past. I've just as recent as 2 weeks ago, if not probably today, have hurt somebody in some way, shape, or form. So I am by no means perfect. I am by no means the professor of what perfection is. I know that I will continue to sin and I will continue to repent daily and ask for God's forgiveness. But I say all of that because I've hidden from my past for a very, very long time. So twofold, going to the dinner thing, we started probably 2 years ago of hosting at one of our houses dinners when we had our kids, because we all three have 50% legal physical custody of our kids. We're all divorced men for whatever reason. I can be brutally honest and say that I messed up and made a choice decision that was not right, and you'll learn more about that as you watch this and as this evolves. So with hosting those dinners, we all kind of just had the Nerf gun wars. Like the home would just be like the battlefield, and like
Epic
kids running
Oh, that's the
everywhere,
time.
and Nerf guns, like Nerf bullets flying everywhere. And it's just like, man, this is awesome. We are literally doing life together and figuring it out, right? Like we are like playing with our kids is not beneath us, right? Like if you come over, my son is all about showing you his boxing skills that he's learning at his boxing lesson.
Yep.
And it just so happens that you're the punching bag, right? And he'll chase you around the house and literally like,
And the only way to get him off me is doing some noogies.
Yeah. So, and needless to say, about a year ago, I was standing at the bar behind me while the food was on the table and the camaraderie was happening. And I had the thought, and this came out of nowhere, of you need to start a podcast because what is happening in your home is godly and so uncommon that it needs to become common. And it is kind of up to you to show people what it's like to be broken, be poor in faith, and be a single dad, but still have the capacity to love and provide and nourish your kids and nourish friendships. And as I'm listening to the conversation happening and having this thought in my head of, wow, like tap, tap, tap on my shoulder, man, this is bigger than me. Oh, and by the way, the podcast name needs to be called The Bad Broke Dad, which I will break down in a later segment of why that is and why I feel like that was placed on my heart. So here we are, about a year after that initial thought. Episode 1, it's called The Foundation for that reason. They were a pivotal and are the foundation, in my opinion, right? This doesn't start and happen without you guys, period. So for the viewers, that's why it's called The Foundation. That's why they are on this episode. Moving forward, it will not be more than 2 people. It'll be a one-on-one discussion with people that I bring in that have led and left a extreme impact on my life, and who have helped me over the last 2.5 years in kind of that mentorship role of how to raise your child in a positive way. Because, I mean, to be honest, there's ways you can raise your child that doesn't produce fruit. Just because you're a tree doesn't mean you produce fruit, right? And what we are trying to do is grow trees that produce fruit, right? We are not trying to grow trees that just look pretty. We're not trying to grow and raise children who are stuck on the worldly views and that get caught up in the rat race of the new fad. We try and look at everything through a biblical lens and filter it through the Bible and prayer and in fasting. And we try and exude that onto our children. So,
and if I can jump in here too, I know and you've covered a lot of ground, but talking about the foundation too is where we all linked up at Zach's house. And so when I showed up there, you were already there. It was supposed to be a temporary basis. It's almost like, I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but it's like I got out of freaking prison, but then I came right back, and we know why. We're not going to go into those. Maybe one day we'll talk about why I got squirrely, but came back, and that's when we started doing life together. We were going through some litigation. Zach was the most far advanced in this stuff, and the most unique part about that was you teaching us to stay strong in your faith, to don't, even though that, we are in a separated state, don't walk outside of the marriage, don't get involved with other women. And hey, even post separation, divorce, okay, this is a time of healing, time of reparation, and take it slow into getting back into relationships and not getting into, a sexual stance, right, in walking ungodly. And so, yeah, just doing all that stuff at your house, worshiping together, doing Bible studies together, doing life together. And then that's when you were the first to get out of there permanently.
Yeah, I was the first to. I got to get out of here, man. It's too righteous in here, man. I'm going to get struck by lightning in Zach's house. It was, yeah. I say all that in good love, but to echo what Dave just said, what I loved about that time that we lived while we were in your home is the evening talks that, I can say this, I feel like I'm still drinking milk when it comes to like scriptural knowledge and like, I think that I'm in the phase of eating some meat, but I'm no theologian. I'll tell you that up front. I'm no theologian. I'm no expert of the Bible. That's my disclaimer. And I don't think all of us are, right? None of us have a degree. We it's kind of like the baptism of fire. We read and we try and exude and live that life, and we trip and stumble and we hit the pavement. We get back up and we dust our knees off and we keep going. But the nights that we would sit up until sometimes 10:30, knowing that we had to go to work the next day and speak about scripture and how it's supposed to be applied in your life, is still something that I hold on to nearly and dearly. And it's great because now you and I get to do that because he's, in my opinion, one of the busiest guys that I know.
Yeah.
But it all started with him.
Well, and that's one of the things you and I have talked about, that it was like a discipleship living in your house.
Yes.
And that's not how it was designed. Maybe God orchestrated it that way, but literally, it felt like a discipleship with you. And I've had that conversation with you as well, and you've echoed that as well. So, we give you a lot of praise. I know you don't take the praise, right? You give God the glory, but because of your heart and the things that you have endured, you've been able to take that, bless us with that experience, and help lead us down a better path. So,
I appreciate that. I think you're right. It's not me. It is all him. And I mentioned that at the beginning, but what he did was allow me to go through a divorce first. So that I was at a point where I was beyond like the egregious pain and hurt of the matter, and the dust was starting to settle, and I was learning a lot and I was growing a lot. And just, again, by his grace, I kept my eyes on him. So, and undesired and unknown or I didn't know it, but he was setting me up for ministry, at least to be able to house you guys. And I wasn't intentionally discipling you. I was just living life with you, sharing stuff that I'd learned. And I think that's what it's about. I mean, if you got somebody in your life that's like taking a position of a higher position than you and trying to like become your teacher intentionally, then probably not going to work out very well. And I wasn't trying to do that. I appreciate your words. They're very kind, but I was just being obedient, taking advantage of the blessing that God gave me. So I learned just as much through that time.
No, that's awesome. So that's how it kind of all come to fruition. And what does the way forward look like? I don't know. To be quite honest and frank, I'm a firm believer that I'm supposed to be doing this and that we're supposed to be doing this without a script. As you can see, there's no piece of paper. We're not reading off of anything. It's all open. It's all organic. There's no editing. I don't have a producer. It's literally me with a mouse, a laptop, a computer, and a microphone. And that's it. I have a dog that's in her kennel, so she's not making too much noise. And it's going to be as raw, as unfiltered, and it's not going to be edited. It's not going to be clipped. It's not going to be cut. What you see is what you get, because that is what the Bible is, right? We're not going to add anything. We're not going to add our own personal opinion. We're not going to take away from its rawness and its uniqueness. And I feel like that is what this is and how this is supposed to be driven. It's all the Holy Spirit and God's grace and mercy for myself and us. So that's it in a nutshell. I greatly appreciate you guys coming on. I know that this thing has been in the working, and I've been talking about it for a year. I really have. I've probably about a year and a half. We've been trying to get this thing square, and just something that I've had to work through is, who are you? What makes you think? What makes you think you're good enough to do something like that with your past and the pain that you've caused in people's lives, and that self-limiting belief of you've done too much destruction. You need to be in hiding your entire life because of all of the people you've hurt and all of the horrible things that you've done. And I say that because I understand that I have lived a very imperfect life, but because of the sacrifice and blood of Jesus Christ and the repentance daily that I do, I'm not a slave to that sin, and no one can call me by that except for the devil, and that's a dude I don't listen to. So I say that as a God-fearing man. We will get to my entire testimony in a later episode. Anyways, like, subscribe, screenshot, send to your friends, share. I want to get this thing rolling. This is episode 1, the foundation. I greatly appreciate you guys coming on, being with me here tonight. I love both of you guys. You're my brothers. And I would carry your rug and lift you through the hole of a roof, so that Jesus can touch your heart, and touch your life and change it if I could. And I mean that sincerely and from the bottom of my heart. I greatly appreciate you guys for blessing me in my life. And with that, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and this wouldn't be, good old Marine Brotherhood if somebody didn't have one saved round.
That's right.
Saved round.
Dave shows up late all the time.
That's right. Hey, man. Well, they say officers are never late.
That's right. Yeah.
No, the one saved round is kind of what you mentioned, and want to hit the nail on the head is that we are worthy, right? You are worthy. You are worthy. I am worthy. For those listening, they're worthy. Talking about Buck Island, and it's interesting how you set this up for tonight. I was having a conversation with another friend earlier today over lunch. Had no intentions of talking about any of this stuff. It was just a discussion on, hey, what's your purpose in life? Like, what do you aspire to do in your future, XYZ? And I got to talking about the rocks that Brittany had us paint.
Yeah.
And the one word after doing those meditation exercises, like, what's your one word? And we'll get into it, in the future of why this became my one word, but my one word was worthy.
Yeah.
And the self-limiting beliefs, right? We still talk about some of those things where you guys help edify me, right? Or vice versa, I help edify you, but like, we all deal and struggle with different things.
Mm-hmm.
So really the point is just to say and remind everybody that they are worthy, and God doesn't call the equipped, he equips those that are broken.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, again, I started this off with talking about David, a very similar story to the character of David in the Bible. And there's been moments in life where I've, asked the question, why God, why me, or why this, why that? But now realizing, hey, the blessing that going through those hard experiences that we tried to shy away from, how they are necessary for our life to help produce our character and help eradicate that sin in our lives and help us to grow. And we're growing every single day.
Yeah.
We're stumbling every day, but we're growing every day. And so without further ado, that's really just what I wanted to.
Yeah. And so what he just did is give you a sneak peek into the next episode, really. And I am obviously going to send out a very professional invitation to that individual, but I think you guys can probably guess who it's going to be. With that, I greatly appreciate you guys for coming on. I love you, and we'll end with that.